Today we have got one of probably the most reliable midfield players of all time, Mr. Steve Sidwell.
Where is Marcus Rashford? What's happened to him? He scored 30 goals last season.
And that petulance there, you don't need that. And again, it's a headache that the manager doesn't need.
I heard Chris Sutton on the radio the other day throwing another
Sorry
name.
about that.
Simon Jordan saying that he thinks Chelsea are going to win the league in the next 3 years.
Yeah, delusional.
Okay.
Tottenham used to be no one's second team. I think this man has made Tottenham their second team.
I love
Don't
it.
know about that, Tim.
Not you.
Hey, thanks for joining us for another episode of No Tippy Tappy Football, brought to you by William Hill. Sam is on his Ollie Bobs again. Oh, the life of Big Sam. So Tim Sherwood is back in the hot seat. Tim, thank you for being here.
How you doing? Had a good week? You obviously had.
Yeah, I went to Switzerland for the young boys game, which was wonderful, and then I got back for the Manchester derby, which was all right.
Two good wins.
Yeah.
You're happy?
I'm really happy. It's a wonderful time. It's a wonderful
It
time
was
to
a
be in Manchester.
It was a footballing lesson, wasn't it? That derby was unbelievable.
It really was.
It was embarrassing if you're wearing red.
Was it?
I would suggest.
Oh, good. Would you like to introduce your guest today?
Yeah, today we have got one of probably the most reliable midfield players of all time, Mr. Steve Sidwell.
That's nice.
Yeah? Happy with that?
Yeah, I'll take that all day.
Do you know why I say that? Because if you're the manager and you pick your team, and I always talk about someone who doesn't keep you up at night, I think if you put him in your side, you know exactly what you're going to get every single week. And it's everything. He's going to give you everything. And if he makes a mistake, it's an honest one. You can live with that as a manager.
Thank you for being here.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Have you and Tim played together, worked together, been opponents against each other?
I think I played against Tim. I must have just
Age group different.
Yeah.
just missed, which was probably my era, really. The way that I played, I probably missed the game by a generation. But work-wise, through media and broadcasting, and love working with him. Because he just says it how it is, and played. It's like how he played, really. Just honest, on the line, says what it is. Says there's no sort of sit on the fence, and that's what you want from pundits, broadcasters. You don't want someone that's going to faff around and give a dodgy answer. It's like, no, this is why it is, and this is my opinion. And he says what most people are thinking, sitting on a sofa watching their TVs. So always a pleasure.
Definitely does not sit on the fence, never sits on the fence. Why we love him on this podcast. What are you up to now? Of course, we know that you do a very popular podcast with Peter Crouch.
So I finished playing at 35 and then done coaching. I was doing the coaching at Brighton where I finished and loved it. I really, really enjoyed it. I was doing the 16s and 18s, and some of them players now are getting into the first team or on the cusp, which is really good to see. But the broadcasting and the TV stuff just kind of fitted the family bit as well, because Tim will tell you, when you're in that manager's hot seat or the coaching, it's relentless. And I've spoke to Stevie and Frank and Scott Parker's, and they're like, don't do it. But there's an element, it's a drug. Like, I miss it so much. I miss the grass. I miss being on the pitch. And it's the next best thing. And they say, if you don't do it, don't do it. And I feel like, well, you're doing it, so why can't I do it? So there's an element that I will and I want to and I will get back in. But for the moment, I'm loving doing this and this side of it.
That setup there at Brighton is incredible, isn't
Yeah.
it? Especially that academy side.
Yeah.
You must have come across some of the very good managers, what they've had.
Yeah.
Did you have a look at De Zerbi while he was there?
So I was in a few weeks back. So when I done the transition, was working in the academy, and Graham Potter was manager, who was, again, breath of fresh air, watching his training. And then when De Zerbi come in, it just took it to another level. And then when I went down there a few weeks ago to watch training, and anyone can go and watch his training, it's an open book with De Zerbi. The lads say if there's no one in watching, it's a case of, why is no one here watching? Yeah. It's literally Monday to Friday. You could come on a Friday and they'll tell you the team, to do the tactics, doesn't care. Yeah, I think he had 20 from AC Milan in watching the day before that I was there. Yeah. Demanding, intense, the way that they play football, the patterns that you see on a game day is exactly what you see day in, day out. Changing the players, they know all their roles, all their responsibilities. If it's not done properly, it stops, it's done again. Absolutely superb. Blew me away.
See, people listening will think, well, that's normal, surely.
Yeah.
But we can tell them, we've worked with a lot of managers, big managers ourselves. It is difficult to replicate from a training pitch. to the match day. You have to do it. What's the point of training something which is not exactly what you're going to do on a Saturday? But you would say from the outside, well, surely all managers do that. But everyone's saying at the moment, especially with Ten Hag, where's the patterns? What's the formation? How are they trying to play? Now that is where the training ground comes in, and that is where De Zerbi and people like. I mean, he is tipped to be the next Man City manager.
I mean, from what I see, and when I spoke to him, I mean, he gave me so much time in his office after, even going through his team selection for the Man United game that Saturday, even asking me about certain players. And when I was talking to players about him, he literally just blew me away. But there's a buy-in as well from the players. I mean, we all know when we were training as players, if you do the same thing day to day, that repetitiveness, it can be a little bit. But if you get the results on a Saturday and you're buying into it, then it's all on the same hymn sheet.
Is that rare as well then, to have a manager that welcomes people to come to training and will sit with them?
Yeah, I mean, they'll always have you in. They'll let you watch training from afar. It would never be near a game day. It would be not even near probably on match prep. It would just probably be a Tuesday where it's a bit more of a down day, not tactical. I was in at Fulham this week and I spoke to Marco Silva before, and you can't get nowhere near their sessions. So some of them are real cloak and dagger, just real confined, whereas he was just... I think that might, when I've heard it's more of an Italian thing. It's the way that they're brought up. It's more of an open book. Come and watch, take notes. You know, you're not allowed to video record, but take away anything that you want, because whatever you think you're going to take from this, I'll always be one step ahead.
I had it at Blackburn back when I was playing. Roy Hodgson used to have loads of people watching training. And he used to make it very clear to us that they're not here to watch you, they're here to watch me. That's what he used to say to us. He said they want to learn. So that's why they're here. So if you listen, you might learn. You know, I was going through a bad time at that stage, and he was quite forthright with, I'm the governor, that's why they're here. You listen, and we might pick up, and we might move up the league. He made it very clear.
Love that attitude. That's amazing. We are going to talk about Manchester United there. We are going to talk about that in a second. Obviously, we generally focus on Premier League and what's going on this week and what's coming up. But there's something that's happening in the Football League that I wanted to get your sort of thoughts on both of you. I'm sure everyone will have seen what's going on with Sheffield Wednesday and the statements that the owners put out. And he's put one out very recently, calling for supporters to come up with £2 million within the next few days to save the club from having a transfer embargo. It just it breaks my heart when you see a club like Sheffield Wednesday that are going through this. Big
club, huge club. Like, you know how big they are when you play at Hillsborough, and them fans, they get going. It's huge, sleeping giant. I mean, and it's a shame because you see some clubs going in that direction, and it's a slippery slope. When you're on it, it's hard to get out, and ultimately, money is going to be the one that's going to dig it out. But I mean, to ask the fans to come in and empty their pockets I've never seen that before.
No.
It's the idea that I think he wants 20,000 fans to give £100. It's the idea that 20,000 people have got £100 spare lying around in this day and age. It just seems very out of touch.
Well, totally. And it is a huge club. I just think the problem they've had as well, with the disappointment of the club, is because Sheffield United have made it to the Premier League, and when they're a team, you've got two teams in one city. It's very difficult for the fans to keep their emotions under wraps, and they've obviously voiced their opinion. The owner's not been happy with it, so I think he said did he call them something like they want to be chairman? If they want to be chairman, then why don't they pull the money up to pay the VAT bill? Disappointing. Hopefully someone rescues him and takes it out of his hand. It sounds like he's lost interest. It must be difficult when it's not a bottomless pit for any owner of a football club. It's just having to pull it up to keep them just afloat, and not moving up the league. So hopefully this is where they put their hands together and pray for a foreign owner, because it seems to be the foreign owners who we can complain as much as we want about foreign owners, but a lot of them are rescuing clubs and keeping them alive for the local community. So hopefully someone will do that for Sheffield Wednesday.
For the local community as well, such a key point as well, what these football clubs mean to their local communities. So want to talk about Manchester United. You have said many times on the podcast, Tim, that Erik Ten Hag hasn't improved them, hasn't improved any of the players at Manchester United. You've been saying it for ages. Other people are catching on now. Jamie Carragher has said it this week as well. He doesn't think Ten Hag has improved any players. I mean, when you look at them, I mean, you talk about the Manchester derby. Where is Marcus Rashford? What's happened to him? He scored 30 goals last season.
Yeah, well, Marcus Rashford, in my opinion, can play for Man City. But having watched him play for Man United over the last few weeks or months or year, he was okay last year. He improved him a little bit, didn't he? You would say I'm crazy saying that. But let me tell you, that boy could play for Man City. Pep would take him. He would work with him. He would play him exactly how he needs to play. When he plays an England shirt, he doesn't do bad. So
how does he need to play?
Well, he needs to play when people need to be around him, giving him the ball in the correct areas. I think he uses him, and a lot of Man United fans, you hear him saying, well, he doesn't work back, he doesn't do this. But if he's not getting the ball going forward, not getting the sweets, then he's not willing to do that. But if you keep giving him the ball in the correct areas, then he put a shift in for the team. And I think Pep Guardiola would make sure he runs back. There's not one player in Man City's side who doesn't run back. If you can't point a finger at someone running, Bruno could play for Man City, in my opinion. He has the qualities to be able to do that. But he will if he was with Pep Guardiola. Yeah. He hasn't got the attitude because he's with Ten Hag. Now, Ten Hag needs to look at himself. It's the manager. It all comes down. The bottom line is when you think the team does well, the manager takes credit. If he doesn't do well, the buck stops with the manager. I've been there. You know, sometimes you look around and we say, well, it's not my fault, but it is your fault because you're the manager. Because when you walk in the main door in a big office, you've got a manager on the top of it, and that's your name. And the boys come and knock on your door and say, well, I'm not playing. The team's not winning. You've got to have all the answers. You've got to have all the answers to the press. You have all the answers to the fans in the forums. It buck stops with you. And at the moment, he's not getting the best out of them individuals. Someone like Marcus Rashford, for me, has the qualities to play for Man City, who for me are the best team in the land. Now, he'd have to fight for his position, but that's another good point. Who's he fighting with at the moment to keep his position? Where's the competition for him to want to train the best of his ability? Does he feel like he's pressurised to keep his shirt? I would suggest no.
It just feels like, for me, when I watch United, that they are so devoid of confidence, and Marcus Rashford is one of them. It just seems like everything's an effort. Like when you're playing with confidence and you're like De Zerbi, the drills are there and you can see them. Everything's shifting, everything's moving. You can see what they're trying to do. Everything just seems to be that extra hard yard, that extra sort of. And then when you've got someone like Marcus Rashford that's low on confidence, especially in them areas as well, in forward areas, is the worst position to be because they're the most important ones. You know, touch, shoot, half a yard, slip a passing, half a yard, get past your man. He can't even do that at the moment. There's a few times where he's getting away from him, going out, you know, and you can see it in his face. He's like, he's just. But like what Tim's saying, if the service isn't getting there because no one knows the patterns or they've got the quality, but it's just getting it out of them. And I think Ten Hag sort of saying, why should I have to motivate you to play for Manchester United? But it's though that they all need motivation to go, look, you're at one of the biggest clubs in the world. But that shirt it's heavy. It's heavy wearing a Man United shirt, and a lot of them players will find that out.
So Rashford, a player obviously that was there when he got there, he's had time now to bring in a lot of his own players as well. I mean, he brought in Anthony 70, 80, 90 million, something like, or euros, something like that. Yeah. He's now had more yellow cards this season than he's had goals. He came on the pitch in the Manchester derby and he just looked like a petulant child. Like he just looked like he got wound up so easy. I mean, talking about bad signings, you know, will he come good or are we just? Does he just need to hold their hands up and go? Bad signing.
Well, there's talent there, isn't there? Yeah. There's definitely talent there, but the price tag obviously puts another bit of pressure on him. Coming on the other day, the cameras were on him, wasn't they? Before he come on, with him shaking his head, you just got to come on and you've got to make an impact, but in the right way. You know, what he done was just should have been sent off, and that petulance there, you don't need that. And again, it's a headache that the manager doesn't need. But the price tag ultimately will prove that at the moment he's not living up to the billing that he should do. Definitely something there for me. He's not really my cup of tea. If I was playing with him, I'd be on him the whole time. Especially in the bad times, I bet he's superb when you're winning 4 or 5-0 and he's doing the flicks and that's great.
He's in Holland.
When the chips are down, you need someone. That's when he needs to stand up.
I think that you can give him a little bit of leeway, Ten Hag, with the players he's inherited, because he would say, well, not my players. They don't fit into the style I want to play. He spent an awful lot of money there. So the ones who he has brought in, has he made any of them better? Are they the best players at the club? No, they're not. Every one of them, you can say that. So, and especially Anthony, he's a good example because he knew him. He knew exactly what he's bringing to the football club. So he's got no excuse, no get out with that one. If I'm the owner, I'll say, well, you know this guy. Yeah. You keep moaning about the ones you've inherited and you're not getting the best out of them, but you know this one. You brought him in and you've still not improved him. He's not even playing. Yeah. So, I think Amrabat was a good one. He chased him for a long time, brings him into the football club and plays him left back. I mean, he plays him left back because there was no one else there, but now he's playing Lindelof there. So there was someone there. If the kid wants to come to Man United, he wants to show the crowd what he's got, and he puts him out of position straight away. So he plays 2 games out of position. Crowd are on a little bit of a downer with him. Not half of them don't know if it's his correct position. Now he's playing central midfield and can't get a kick of the ball. He can't get a kick of the ball because there's no patterns. We keep talking about that. There's no style of play. Got a Nana at the football club to play out so they can play through the lines. They don't play out. And the reason he gives the ball away because it's not definite in their positioning. They're half there. They're caught between 2 stools. Are we going to go long? Are we going to go short? Whereas you see Ederson, who's fantastic on his feet, he knows, but there's space between where he goes, rolls it out, plays it through. I mean, the space is there to be able to do it. And Nana's trying to do it, but he's threading things because they're not definite with their positions, because they're not sure what the pattern is.
Do you think Johnny Evans ever in a million years thought he would be playing in another Manchester derby?
No. And I think that just goes to show the sorry state that Man United are in. Now, that's taking nothing away from Johnny Evans, because if they come knocking for me, I'd get my boots back on and go and play for Manchester United.
Maybe they should.
Well, I mean, I think there are hard times. The players that you want are your Harry Maguires, your McTominay. These players they're the ones that are going to stand up and go, listen, I know what it's like wearing this badge. I know what it's like to play for this football club. And you can never, ever, regardless of their performances, if they haven't been up to scratch, more so from Harry Maguire, he's always fronted every challenge. He's always been the first one to go in front of the camera. And you can never, ever knock someone with that attitude.
Yeah.
We mentioned Bruno Fernandes before. Roy Keane has said this week that he should have the captaincy taken off him. Do you agree? But who else could be captain?
Well, as a captain, you need to lead by example. So when we talked about petulance from Anthony, he's probably looking from the side and watching the game for a load of minutes there and seeing petulance from his captain. So it starts from the top. And when you're on the pitch, you're the manager. If you're the captain, you have to lead by example. Roy was a fantastic captain. Even when he didn't play well, he made sure others around him played better, and he kept the levels up. I'm not sure who you give it to. Now, I'm really not. The manager should know that. He had a better idea because he's with him every single day. So he should know who the captain should be. I think Bruno possibly is given the captain because he thinks, I just hope that this inspires you to do some magic, which he's capable of doing, and gets us out of the mire time and time again. Now, he's done it a few times. He can't continue to do it. Now, I would suggest, like Chelsea are trying to do, Pochettino, he's a lot of superstars there. Who did he give the captaincy to? To the kid, to Gallagher. So he says, because he knows the club, he's come through the academy. Now, someone like that, possibly. I keep making that point. McTominay had to get him out of mire when he brought him off the bench. If it wasn't McTominay who's come through that academy, someone might have come on and not tried too hard. Or might have said, I'm injured today. Like Varane keeps saying, he's injured 1 week, then he plays for another 2. Then he's injured again. Someone like Hannibal who run around, I think he's midfield performances. When I looked at midfield performances from Man United over the last couple of months, he played in 2 games back to back. He was man of the match, in my opinion. And why was he man of the match? Not because of the qualities of his skill and his ability, which he's got, but because he wanted to run. He wanted to run around. He wanted to get to people. He was all over the pitch. He's high intensity. Put his foot in. Got some tackles. Give them energy, what they need. But as soon as the superstars are fit, you sit on the bench, son. I'll bring them in, because he's scared to leave them out. And you can't be like that. It's all right when you're at Ajax. You can leave players out and you can get one from the academy and they will come in. You still win the game. Not in the Premier League. Not at Man United. Can't do that. You have to find the right blend. At the moment, he hasn't found the cocktail. And it can't all be superstars. It never was. When Sir Alex Ferguson was there, likes of Nicky Butt, Fletcher, you would play them all. Neville's in the early days, all these boys who will come in the academy, Wes Brown, all didn't have to be superstars, but it was the right blend. You know, a lot of academy boys will know what the badge means. You had the manager who was setting the tone of saying, look, this is what it takes to play for Man United. And the rest of them, like in the end, Roy Keane's, and they just policed the dressing room. He never had to worry about discipline because they would just say, that's not the Man United way, this is.
The Man United way doesn't seem to exist.
There isn't one.
No.
Yeah. The next game is against one of your former clubs, Fulham.
Yep.
Who knows? It could go either way.
Yeah, I mean, I was at the training ground yesterday at Fulham, interviewing Tim Ream and speaking to a few of the players and the manager, and good atmosphere. They're in a good place at the moment. Results are not really reflecting it. They are struggling to score, but they're looking at it going, it's a good time to play Man United. I mean, I think Man United have won on their last 6 visits to Craven Cottage, but Fulham will be looking at it going, listen, we get stuck into these. A few of these might not want to stand up to the challenge. There'll be a few that obviously always will, but you can't have too many passengers in the Premier League now.
Yeah, if I'm Fulham, I'm really thinking, definitely this is a
good time.
Yeah,
It's a good time. The confidence is everything, and there's no confidence there at the moment. But they have to try and find it. That's what playing for Man United is all about. Fulham's worry is where they're going to find the goals. Mitrovic left now. I don't. Where are they, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, Vinicius was second string, wasn't he, last time to Mitrovic, which everyone else was going to be. But if you're calling him to be starting up top ahead of Jimenez, who's struggling as well, it's everyone else needs to chip in. If your strikers are not doing it, you need everybody else to do it. Pereira's not been performing great consistently. He's still starting him. You know, Tom Kearney's probably looking at going, give me a chance and I can produce something, whether he's still got the legs to do it, but he needs the game maybe to stretch for him to have an impact. But if your striker's not scoring, then you need everyone else to start chipping in as well, which is their only concern at the moment. But spirits are high, which is the most important thing.
Marco Silva signed a new deal as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
You know, he's been touted to go to Saudi for the big bucks. He obviously likes what's happening at the football club, but they obviously promised him some money. He's playing without a striker, basically, at the moment. You know, a lot of managers will throw the toys out the pram there and just blame the board of directors if they're not getting results. He doesn't seem to do that. I think he really likes the atmosphere and where he's working. And it's really refreshing for the Premier League and certainly for Fulham fans to see that, because I'm sure they're going to back him.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's highlighted some players. Paulinho signed a new contract. I really believe that he will still leave in January, because I think if Bayern Munich...
He was, wasn't it? Bayern Munich, he was there.
He was there. It was almost done. And then he signed a new contract, probably to protect their interests. There's probably a buyout clause which someone will come and meet so they can reinvest that money. But it's really encouraging. A top manager like him, you know, he's been around. It's always been successful everywhere he's been. But the glove seems to fit with him and Fulham, and hopefully he stays there for a long time. Everyone wants to see Fulham in the Premier League. It's a great ground to go and play football.
It's a great ground, isn't it?
Yeah.
As an away team or playing there as a home, which I did many times. I think stabilisation is just the biggest thing for them. I think they overachieved last year. I think they finished 10th in the Premier League, beat some big clubs. I think this is just a little finding out where they really are. So they're definitely going to stay in the Premier League. But it's just about keeping that going and getting the right names and the right fit for that club throughout the seasons.
Lovely ground to visit as a fan as well, by the way. I've been a few times.
Neutral stand. What club has a neutral stand?
I know. I sat in that and I was really confused the first time I went there. And I remember they did a cracking pie as well, which I always think is important in football.
Pie in Fulham?
Yes, I had a pie.
Really?
Oh, yeah, I had a pie. It was lovely. Yeah.
Smoked
Oh, was it a hot dog? Hold on. It might have been a hot dog.
Not be saying posture than pie.
Whatever it was. I remember walking away thinking, that was lovely. So, of course, you've had a few London clubs.
Yeah.
You started off at Arsenal.
Arsenal, yes.
I was trying to wrap my brain. Can you give us who else came through with you at that time?
Oh, we had, and this is not just me saying it, we had the greatest youth team they've ever had. Fact. We lost one game in 2 years.
You won the Youth Cup twice.
We won it back to back. We won the Premier League title back to back. So in our 2 years, these all come through. So we had Graham Stack in goal. This is Premier League, Championship, or just making a living out of the game. Yeah. So we know the stats in football, probably in every youth team, you probably get one or two that would go on and make it out of 18. Well, we had one or two that didn't make it. So we had Graham Stack, Liam Chilvers, John Halls, Ben Chorley, Moritz Volts, Jerome Thomas, Jermaine Pennant, myself, Ryan Ricketts, David Noble, Jay Bothroyd, Graham Barrett, Joe Kaffour, Jeremy Aliadair, David Bentley. There's a few more as well. And they all went on to have a career in the game. And it's amazing because we loved our time there. And I think whatever level you get at, you talk to some of the most decorated players that's lifted trophies in their careers, they'll always go back to the youth team days. And you can't get away from that because you're in it together. You know, you're clearing the boots out, you're clearing the team bus, you're mopping up, you're doing this. You're earning your stripes. And then you're going to go into battle on a Saturday with these same players. And we still meet up now. All our youth team players, we still meet up 2 or 3 times a year, and it's like we're back when we were 16. But yeah, we was at the right place at Arsenal, just at the wrong time. That's all it was. And Arsene Wenger was great with us. He was like, listen, if you're good enough, you get a chance. But I had Vieira, Petit, then I had Gilberto come in, then Edu, Thierry Henry, Dennis. So there was, there was no qualms of me leaving to come down the ladder to come back up. But we had a great set of lads.
Did any of them get into the Arsenal team?
So I think Pennant had a few, didn't he?
Yeah.
David Bentley, Jeremy Aliadair had a couple, but no one.
Yeah, because it was such a tough time.
It was. Yeah. And, we used to earn our money from the tickets that we used to get, right? But, we was guaranteed that Arsenal was going to get to the FA Cup final every year. So as youth team players, we were on 38 quid a week as a YTS, but we could get 4 tickets and we could buy 4 tickets. And then we could obviously shift them out. And Liam Brady used to say, boys, don't be selling your tickets. But we obviously was knocking them out to try and have our summer holidays to Napa and New Falaraki. But yeah, it was the best times for Arsenal. And they're slowly getting back to that now, aren't they? But at that time at Highbury, Tim would have played there. It was a fortress. And when Thierry was on song and he's just toying with defenders and going out to the left and cutting in, we used to go to Highbury and enjoy watching the games. But yeah, it was a great education. Worked under Don Howe, he was our coach. Liam Brady overlooking it all. Neil Banfield, top coaches. Yeah. We learnt the Arsenal way and with respect. A borderline of an arrogance, but I think you need that as top players. And I remember when I left Arsenal and went to Reading in the Championship, I straight away thought I'm too good for this. And I had to learn quickly about playing in the Championship, but I did. I learned quickly and I was like, I'm bossing games at 19, 20 and waiting to get into the Premier League. So, and that's what happened with all the players.
You mentioned Jermaine Pennant there. He used to date about 15 years ago, one of my good friends, and he was honestly one of the funniest people I'd ever met.
Yeah.
He used to have us in stitches.
Yeah, he was a character.
A character,
Jermaine.
yes.
I was the unlucky one that had to look after him. I remember.
Oh, Lord.
Liam Brady came in, obviously Tim saying there, the opening, Mr. Reliable. Well, I was probably classed as that as a youngster. So I remember when Jermaine signed as a 15-year-old and Liam got hold of me and said, listen, we're signing this little toe rag from Nottingham and I need you to look after him. It was impossible. It was impossible. He'll never learn. And he'll probably come back and he'll say that he's character was spot on and it was what it was, but he learned the hard way. I mean, he was walking into the training ground with a bag of McDonald's and every day, and you can't do that. You just can't. And Wenger's coming out saying, Jermaine, listen, look after yourself no more, and he's doing it the next day. So there's loads of stories about Pennant, but in terms of talent, wow. Incredible.
He's just done Celebrity SAS.
Yes.
Has he?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe you should have done that when he was 14.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
In terms of competition for the Premier League title this season, Arsenal, Liverpool, City, who are your kind of main competitors, do you think?
I think at the moment, you've got to put Spurs in that conversation at the moment.
Oh, yeah, I didn't say Spurs, did I?
I think, that's the thing. I think everyone are forgetting. I think everyone are forgetting Spurs, but you've got to put them in the bracket at the moment. And what he's done there is phenomenal. Phenomenal. And you talk to the players, and he's just brought it back to basics. You can see what they're trying to do with the fullbacks coming right in and playing as number 8s and number 10s. We get all that. But he's just telling them to go and play with freedom as well. And as a player, if you know your basic roles and do the basics right, and then go and play with that freedom that you got from the manager, it's brilliant. So they're in the conversation now. Will they sustain it? I don't know, because they got some bigger games to come. But Arsenal are going to be in there. Liverpool, I think it's going to be anyone's title this year. I really do. I really do, because I think teams will drop points along the way, including City, as well as they're playing. I think a few of them will drop points, and it's going to get to a point where what team's going to be brave enough towards the end of the season?
I think they all beat each other this year.
Spurs always beat City.
No,
Always.
they do. They have a very good record. Yeah. But I just think if I was managing now, I'd want to be in City's dressing room, obviously, because they've done it. Prolific winners. The quality, what they have, it's tremendous. They're doing it without De Bruyne. No Gundogan. He ain't coming back because they've sold him. But they probably got someone lined up in January as well, or a couple. They always do, just to refresh the dressing room. I just think the manager's the genius. I think until Pep goes, no one else wins the Premier League. I really think that. I've always think that about him. Yeah. But I never thought Leicester would win the Premier League, 2 weeks before the end of the season. Never thought it would happen. So Tottenham, with better quality than what Leicester had, different style, obviously, and you got to get lucky with injuries like Leicester did, play a consistent side, why not? Like I said it before, I think that's at the moment they're Harry Kane away from winning the league.
Yeah.
I heard
that would have been nice.
Yeah. I think Harry Kane seems like he's doing all right, eh?
Yeah, he's made the right choice. He knows that. It's a long season.
Yeah. I heard Chris Sutton on the radio the other day throwing another
Sorry
name.
about that.
Throwing another name into the mix. And he was asking, are Aston Villa contenders? Another one of your former clubs?
For the Premier League, no. No. I think for top six, yes. For knocking on the door for Champions League, yes. What he's done is phenomenal. Going to a football club, had to change the culture. He's brought the best out of Ollie Watkins. I think his stats is ridiculous, isn't it? Emirates, I think out of the games, the Premier League game, he's averaged 2 points since he's been there in the Premier League.
Yeah, I see that it was behind City he'd had the most Premier League points since he joined. Yeah.
I mean, his pedigree is there, in Europe. He's a top manager. And
where
coach.
does he rank, do you think, in sort of terms of like either all-time Premier League managers or recent Premier League managers?
There's got to have a bit of time to judge him on that. Yeah. I mean, so Solskjaer come in and turn it around at Man United, didn't they? And then after a while, it goes. So what he's doing at the moment, though, is very, very good. And you can see that the players are enjoying it, the way that they're playing, making Villa Park a fortress, which is key. Title contenders, no, not for me. Not just yet. They need to add a bit more quality, a few more, I say superstars, top signings before they can challenge them big boys.
He doesn't like them superstars.
No.
He likes to develop players. He likes to be the underdog. I thought he was harshly treated at Arsenal. I really do. Europa League final, if they would have won that, I know it's an if and button maybe, but, Chelsea should have had a penalty early on in the game, I felt. They win that, they go to the Champions League, then he's still at the club. I think he wants a project. He's certainly got one. He got new owners who are willing to back him. But when he signs players, pretty much unknown ones, and he makes them better. Diaby's been unbelievable signing for him. Douglas Luiz looks like he's top drawer, number 6 now. He's Torres with Konza. He's a lot better partnership than Konza and Mings. So he's improved that. He's got a World Cup winning goalkeeper. They have got the quality and they've got the depth. Matty Cash is playing better than he's ever played. Yeah. He's bombing down that right-hand side. They've got a good balance, but it's all done on the training pitch. We keep going back to it. We talked about the identity of teams. They've got a clear identity of how they want to play. This man works tirelessly. I mean, I heard someone say the other day, he's in at 7 o'clock, he leaves at 10 o'clock at night. Now, what is he doing? What is he doing there all that time? I mean, that's an extreme, you know what I mean? But I can imagine getting there early, which you have to play in your session. But why are you staying until, he must be finished. They start at 10, he must finish at 12. And then, maybe a little recap on the session, but surely that's got to be wrong. I would like to ask.
What was your time scale when you were managing Villa?
I would get in at 8 o'clock, start at 10:30, and I would leave at when all the players have left. I'll give everyone an opportunity to knock on my door and say, well, I'm here. You know, you can't be, where's the manager, and you're not there. But no one's going to be there at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
I mean, they got some great staff there at that training ground. They must be driving. He must be driving them crazy.
Yeah.
Because they can't leave. And there's the keys, Gaffer. Can you lock up?
Yeah, I think that's the modern. I mean, I know he's been around for a lot, but that is the modern day head coach and manager now. De Zerbi he's the same. By all accounts, he's there and they just watch football all the time. They're just watching clips, watching other teams. I mean, these people just love football. I mean, I love football and I miss football, but I don't love it that much to stay there at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah. I mean, your office, the job is, for me, it was always on the pitch. That's your job. They sit there with these laptops and, they might be trading maybe because they're not earning that much money. Might just earn a few quid. Might be betting with William Hill.
Well done, Tim. Thank you very much. A big game coming up on Monday night as well. Spurs v Chelsea, another one of your former clubs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be a cracker. Again, who knows what's going to happen in that one. Obviously, Chelsea... Well, Simon Jordan, who obviously is also linked with William Hill, Simon Jordan saying that he thinks Chelsea are going to win the league in the next 3 years.
Yeah, delusional.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll finish for that. Delusional.
1 word.
3 years.
Apparently.
Mate.
It's a project, isn't it? We can see it's a project. You can see what they try to do. They try to go out and get all the best talent, not only in England, but across Europe. Young talent, and it all depends on whether they're going to progress under a top coach. Now, he is a top coach, and he can develop players. We've seen it. We've seen him do that at Southampton. We've seen Pochettino do it at Spurs as well. He likes working with youngsters. Love being on the training pitch. It will become fruitful, but it all depends on the development of these young players. Cole Palmer at the moment, you can see how he's riding the wave, enjoying it. They are a good few years away from winning the Premier League. But you can see they're slowly getting on that path to getting there.
You can do it quicker when you've got more money, but you still have to have it's still a gradual process. You can't just jump to the top like that. And especially with a scattergun approach, what they've been recruiting players with. His biggest problem at the moment, Pochettino, is to get rid of players. He's still got too many in the door, too many influences, bad influences possibly. And he needs to have that tight squad. He always wanted that tight squad at Tottenham. You know, when he was offered players, perhaps he was offered players what he didn't really want and was no better than what he's got. That could well have been the reason. Now, he possibly could go out there and buy whatever he wants. What they won't do at Chelsea is buy experienced players for huge money. So he's going to have to develop every player. You can see the pattern now with the recruitment. They're young boys like Cole Palmer, you know, who he can mould. And I think he's fantastic at doing that. He's done a terrific job at Tottenham. But he needs to take that extra step. Now, I also heard Simon saying, well, they can't win under Pochettino. Now, why? Why can't they win under Pochettino? Is he going off the back of what he did at Tottenham? Well, who else has won at Tottenham? No one. So, I mean, give the guy a break.
Yeah.
I mean, he went to PSG and he won the league. If you can manage a squad of players capable of winning the league, then you know you can have a go at him if you don't. But at the moment, I just think it's a little bit unfair criticism on him, and I think he's the right man. Really bad setback at the weekend, though. I thought they were making strides, you know, to get beat at home. So it is one step forward, two back at the moment for Poch and Chelsea, but they need to be patient. It's hard for Chelsea fans, you know yourself. So they're used to success. Yeah. They're used to winning. And their mindset has to change as a fan. It's difficult.
So they take on Spurs on Monday night.
Yeah, that's a big game.
Top of the table Spurs.
Yeah.
In terms of Spurs winning something this season, are you happy with the squad, or is this, or in January, is there one or two players that you think they need to bring in?
You said to me at the beginning of the season you're happy with the squad. Based on what I've seen under previous managers with the same squad of players, I said absolutely not. Now, Ange Postecoglou's gone in there, and some of them players are unrecognisable. You know, and I was very critical of the recruitment. Now, you can only say what you see. The recruitment looked bad because the previous managers weren't getting the best out of them. This manager is. You know, Basuma's been unbelievable.
Been unreal, wasn't he? Back to where he was at Brighton.
Incredible. For me, Basuma's got more than Caicedo. I believe. I think he's got that little drive through midfield. He dribbles. You know, on the edge of the box, he's cuter with his passing. Sar's come out, and Doggy's been brilliant. He's come back from loan. Vicario's been outstanding.
2 centre-halves are brilliant.
Van der Ven,
well, yeah.
Van der Ben's been great, and he's almost calmed Romero down there. Pedro Porro, dare I say it, is playing very well because he's playing into his strength, which is getting forward. They're really, really. Madison. I can forget him. What a signing he's been. Possibly the signing of the season. He's been incredible. It's when they beat teams what you expect them to beat. But let's have it right. Tottenham have played teams that they're expected to beat in the last few years and they haven't won. And that's what's let them down. And they have beat the cities in the past. This is a big game because it's an emotional game because of Pochettino. From Tottenham fans will give him a huge reception.
Yeah.
Huge reception. He didn't want to leave that club. He left that club and he done a fantastic job for him. It is going to be a tough game. It's a tough one to call, a really tough one. I sat here last week and said that Manchester derby is not a tough one to call, and it would be a minimum of 3 goals. So I was right. This time I could not call that for you. I really, really could not call out what Chelsea's going to turn up. We know what Tottenham's going to turn up. They're going to be on the front foot. They're going to be really taking the game to Chelsea, but it's a difficult one, Stephen.
There's one player for Spurs that's still trying, and it's just not going. That's Richarlison for me. Yeah. He's the only one that's just the missing piece for them to go.
But Brennan Johnson will come in for him.
Yeah, I mean, if you had to swap him out, and if you're thinking, right, who is Spurs? If you had to put one player into Spurs, I think you'd go with a striker. Whether you go with Ivan Toney or an Ollie Watkins that would go up top, and then you put Son on the left, then you go, then that's a starting 11 there, or that's a squad that can really challenge. From Richarlison at the moment, he's just still, and the fans want him to do it, but they're slowly losing a bit of patience, and you can see the ball the other day come up to him, and he's controlling it on his back, and it's coming down. That's lovely, and then he loses the ball, and he's the only one. But what a game it's going to be, and these are the games that Spurs need to win if they're going to go.
It's a good base to have, Steve. Now Tottenham squad, if you looked at it under this manager, because you know that if I was Daniel Levy, I'd have the confidence this man knows what he's doing, even this in a short space of time. And if I listen to him, I say, what would you need in January if we're there or thereabouts? Maybe we could be a Leicester. I mean, it wouldn't be a bigger shock because what Leicester was, but Harry Kane, I believe, if he was still there.
Yeah,
and everyone says, well, they got better since Harry Kane left. They got better since Postecoglou come in. That's the issue. So if he was still there, and then you probably need a couple more, but then couple more might cost you 200 million in January if they're available. Is he going to go out and spend? I think he might do. I really believe that if they're there or thereabouts.
Ever a time, this is the time, isn't it?
And even when they were top at Christmas with Mourinho, I don't think any fan really believed that the performances were good enough to sustain it. Yeah. And as soon as they dropped points, it just went like this. Yeah. Because it was, it's like, when you're playing, a team's playing well, when they've got threats, when they're hanging on and holding on to games. And that's what they were doing under Mourinho. Yeah. Fair play, got them to top of the league at Christmas. But now, under this guy, the cloud is lifted from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Everyone's excited about what the future holds. He's actually a guy you want to go and have a drink with. He's a lovely guy, isn't he? I mean, he's probably... Tottenham used to be no one's second team. I think this man has made Tottenham their second team.
I love
it. Don't know about that, Tim.
Not you. But like if he was a Man City fan, possibly. Like,
what if you're saying City can't win the league, who else would I want up there right now? Yeah, probably Spurs. I like him.
Would you have said that if Mourinho was manager?
God, no.
Well then.
Not in a million
years. It is.
Conte?
No, none of them. He's got a personality, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's lovely.
He's brilliant.
Yeah.
He's human.
We need people like him in the Premier League with character.
Yeah.
I loved his comment about the stadium being was it like a disco, did he say?
Yeah.
Or a nightclub, yeah. It's not a fortress, it's a nightclub, yeah.
But if that's what it takes for them to go and win the league, he's all for it. His press conferences are great, aren't they? The way he comes across, the way he answers every question like a fan. He answers a question like a fan sitting at home in their armchair, which is just brilliant.
He's not thinking about it. He's not scripted, is he?
No.
You don't think, right, I've got to get this message out in this press conference. Yeah. He just answers the questions. It's incredible. Yeah. I love him. I love him.
Even to his appointment, and he said he knows he wasn't first choice. Yeah. But he's in the hot seat now, and he's going to make the best out of it. Yeah. And that's it.
Oh, yeah, he's doing a cracking job so far. We always do quick fire questions at the end of the pod. But as always, they don't need to be super quick, as we've learned.
Yep.
So... How did you end up with the number 9 shirt when you joined Chelsea?
So, obviously, when you sign for a club, before you go there, you always see what shirts are available. So there was 9 that come up, and there was 14 that come up because Jeremy left for Newcastle and Belarus left. So they signed me and Claudio Pizarro. I thought Claudio Pizarro was going to get the number 9, I was going to get the number 14. So as we're getting on the bus the first day to go to LA for our pre-season tour, Jose pulled me and said, "You got the number 9 shirt." So I'm thinking straight away, these are Jose antics, test character, mentality. So I was like, all right, okay, that's fine. Got on the bus, sat down next to the kit man, and I said, "He's just said I've got the number 9 shirt." And he was like, "You have?" I was like, "Fuck off, really?" And he was like, yeah, it's just all printed up downstairs, it's all on the way up. So I'm thinking, why is he giving me the number 9 shirt? So obviously there was a big revealing. My pals have called me, "What number you got?" Because all my family are blue, all Chelsea, friends, uncles, dad, cousins, you name it. All grew up from the area. When I said they got the number 9 shirt, they was just like rolling around laughing, like laughing emojis on the iPhone. So now there's 2 ways of looking at this. At the time, it was a number for me. Didn't care what number I was. I was just like I was playing for Chelsea. Looking at it, I think, me personally, he didn't get money that summer to go and buy players. And I think it was his way of going to the board, okay, if you don't want to give me money to go and get a striker or a target I wanted, I want to give the number 9 shirt to this free lad who's come on a free from Reading. Now, it's a different way to look at it. And again, it's probably, is it Jose tactics? It might be. Is it a case of going, I'm going to give the number 9 shirt to a kid that loves Chelsea and, it's a dream move for him? It's one or the other. I think it's the latter part, or the first part. But, that was it. But I never once put it on and just going, I've got number 9 shirt, or this was it. It was always just, I'm putting on a Chelsea shirt. That was it for me.
When you were managing, did you have control over the numbers of new signings, or did it matter to you?
There was too much else to worry about. Yeah, let them get on with it. I think to leave it up to the kit man. I think he would always come and ask, but I was always really not suspicious, but I used to look at players who used to come and say, "I want this number shirt." I was thinking, you're lucky to be here. Just put any shirt.
Yeah. But that was me at Chelsea.
Yeah.
I could have easily have gone, and maybe if I was 24 at the time, so I'm old enough. But if I look back and go, do you know what? I should have pulled him and gone, I don't want it. I don't want the number 9 shirt. It was obviously cursed before. It's been cursed after. But whether that was, I just thought whether that's just these mind games.
We never did anything, did it? We talked about Postecoglou, who just says it how he sees it.
Yeah.
Jose.
Yeah.
Structured.
Yeah.
He never misses an opportunity for anything. You know what it's like. And you saw him at his best.
Yeah.
I mean, he was at his sharpest then when he was at Chelsea. I mean, he was really entertaining to watch when he, you could, as a fan, you just watch his press conferences and it got a bit samey in the end because he was here so long. Yeah. But genius of what he did.
There's always a motive to whatever he did. There was always pre-planned or a motive behind it. Always.
It leads into my next question. Who's the best manager you ever played for and why?
Oh, that's difficult. I've played under some top managers, top head coaches.
Give me the managers and I'll guess.
What?
Who you played under?
I'll give you the clubs or the managers?
No, the managers. And I would say who my favourite one from the outside would be.
So Steve Coppell at Reading, Jose at Chelsea, Martin O'Neill at Villa, Mark Hughes, Martin Yole, Mark Hughes, Chris Hughton. That's about it.
Oh, okay.
I would like to experience the Jose one.
Yeah.
Really?
Jose was honestly, Mourinho, his mind worked different than anyone else's. So there's loads of stories I've got, loads, but I always tell this one because this just sums him up. So we had a normal week training for a prep for a Villa game. So it was a Tuesday or a Wednesday. We was finished training, all stretching. He's gone, right, everyone tomorrow, bring your kids in. It was half-term week. He said, bring your kids in. Give the wives, give the girlfriends a break. If you haven't got any kids, go and find kids. Just bring them in. All right, I want all the kids in. They'll all have a laugh. We'll train as normal. give the wives and girlfriends a day off. So you go home and you go, I'm going to take the kids in to work tomorrow. Bearing in mind, this has never been done before, or I've experienced it before. So I think I had 2 at the time. So she's like, all right, okay. I said, well, you can go do what you want. You know, go shopping, go to spa, sit home, do what you want. So she's like, all right, okay. So we go in. I promise you now, we're on one pitch training. There's about 250 kids on this on this pitch directly next to us, and we're doing match prep now for a game. And they're getting looked after by some of the staff, and there's kids from 2 years old to 15, 16, 17. Balls flying everywhere. All you can hear is laughing, joking, screaming. Afterwards, pictures, autographs with the kids. Go home, kids are happy, wife's had a good day. So there's obviously always a motive behind it. He's gone, if life's good at home, and he had them on side, all the girls and the wife, and he just knew. He just knew, building up. I think at that game, that time as well, we was on a little bit of a ropey spell where he thought we need to get back on track here. And he could have easier just gone, everyone out, focus, football. It was the complete opposite.
Did you win the game?
We won the game, yeah. Yeah, we won the game. But things like that, never done before, never done after. Yeah. In terms of different managers and situations that I've been in. But just things like that, I just thought, he's obviously sitting there going, what can I do?
Mix it up.
Yeah.
You mentioned your wife there. By the way, I remember the Wags Boutique programme that she was on all of those years ago, and I loved it.
Yeah. That was a long time ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was young and...
She still is.
She's young there. She was
young and beautiful.
4 kids later on.
Throwback there. I bet no one's asked you about that in an interview in a while.
No.
Okay, next one for you. Will Leicester beat the record set by Reading and yourself, 106 points in a championship season?
Oh, that's some going. We lost the first game that season. So I remember we lost the first game to Plymouth, 2-1 at home to Reading, got booed off the pitch. Then we went on a 36-game unbeaten run. Incredible. 10 games we won on the bounce over Christmas. We was up by March. 106 points is... We had a lot of draws in there, but it's some feat to do that. They could do, but it's relentless, that league. It can come up and bite you, but winning's a habit, it's momentum, and you get on that in that division, then... But no, I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I think it would be a struggle, but if anyone can do it, Leicester can, because they've got a squad full of Premier League players there. You know, Maresca's gone in there, and we're all saying how good a job he's doing, but I'd like to have that job. I would have done it for nothing, put myself back on the map, because I know I get them promoted. Yeah. You've got to get them promoted. It's just, I mean, you have a look at the squad of players. There was £150 million sitting on the bench the other day, and that was and Vardy was on there, and they didn't count him as a penny. So if you don't get promoted with that squad of players, you've not done a very good job.
I think just going on that Reading team that we had, I don't even know the cost of that, but it was all champion. None of us had played in the Premier League before, so the value of that squad would have probably been about £2 million, probably. And then a lot of people forget that when we actually got promoted that year, our first season in the Premier League, we finished 8th.
Wow.
A point off of Europe.
Wow.
Well, that's a bigger achievement.
Which is phenomenal for Reading. And then they went down the year after that.
That's the momentum of winning, and camaraderie.
Yeah.
And you beat our record with Portsmouth. Me, Merson, Yakubu. We come up from the championship and you beat that record. Yeah. You feel like you can never lose a game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talking about winning, by the way, just a shout out to Stockport County. 11 games on the trot they've won now, Stockport County. Wow. Phenomenal club record there as well. 2 questions left. Who finishes higher this season? Spurs or Arsenal?
Oh.
You have to give an answer. No fencing.
You know what? you know what answer I have to give. Spurs. If they finish higher than Arsenal, they'll be second.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man City win.
I think that Arsenal, again, just fall short. So I think Spurs will finish higher. I think Spurs will just. It's either one of them at the moment. It literally is. I'm not sitting on the fence, because you could easily say Arsenal could finish higher. But I think it would just be Spurs.
Last question now.
Yep.
It's very, very tough, important question. Okay. I know what Tim will say already.
Yeah.
what is the better podcast? No Tippy Tappy Football or the Peter Crouch?
You put it on me here, haven't you? A little bit.
It's all right.
I've got to go with my teammate.
Yeah.
Big Crouchy, he's paying the bills for it at the moment, so he's keeping the electric on for me. So.
Tim?
Well, no question.
Yes, Tim. Thank you. Thank you.
I haven't
For
been
you,
on the
by the way.
Crouchy
Yeah. You need to get him on and then
They'll ask him the same question.
you can poach him. Thanks, Steve Sidwell. Thank you so much for being here.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Really enjoyed that. Thank you. And thank you, as always,
Pleasure.
best caretaker podcast host in the land. Thank you.
Thank you. And it was a good substitute for you last week.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Who was in?
It wasn't as pretty, but his questions were okay.
Okay.
He was learning off you. But
Yeah.
Lee.
Lee was in.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Do I need to be worried?
No, you're all right.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Is Sam back next week? You probably know better than me.
Yeah.
Is he back off his holidays?
Yeah.
Lovely,
Are
right.
you going away again?
I'm not, but I imagine Sam will be, so we'll see you in a few weeks. Thank you for joining us for another episode of No Tippy Tappy Football, brought to you by William Hill.